Presented by Chips and Gravy Film and funded by Screen Australia, The Power of the Dream is about two women who desperately want to compete at the Tokyo Olympics despite having no sporting skill whatsoever. Now, we fall in love with Amy and Brooke Bland as they give various Olympic sports a go to see which one will take them all the way to the podium. All 6 episodes of The Power of the Dream will debut on Instagram and Facebook on July 14. Look for the links in our show notes below. And it is a joy to welcome to Screen Watching the creators and lead actors of The Power of the Dream, Alexandra Keddie and Bobbie-Jean Henning.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Oh, look, it is such a thrill to have you. Now, I'm going to start off with that really boring question, but it does give you a chance to publicly bicker. What are the origins of The Power of the Dream? Who came up with the idea?
A combo.
It was a combo. It was, yeah, we're just like that close.
We're
you know?
so good.
Such good friends. There was never any moments of tension. Yeah, well, I mean, I wanted to do adult gymnastics, which is kind of, I guess,
in real life.
The real life origins is I was like, Bobbie, I'm going to do adult gymnastics. She was like, Alex, I don't know about this. You have very weak ankles and flimsy limbs. This might not end well for you. I was like, no. I was really good at gymnastics in grade 5. So this will be the same 20 years later. And she's like, all right, then I'll support you going all the way to Tokyo, you idiot. And I was like, hang on. And so we were like, because we've been working, you know, independent of each other for quite a while, but have been, you know, best mates for so long. And I think we've been wanting to work together for a long time. And we're like, look, this could be a little short film we make. And so we just decided to rent out a gym, like a gymnastics gym in Sydney with our friend Meg, who we all trained together back in Brisbane. And we're like, let's rent it out for the afternoon and just basically like improvise a short film.
And so we're there like improvising, just making it up. Poor Meg's got the camera, trying to get it lit, trying to get some sense of continuity, some sense of story, just following us around doing gags for each other.
Yeah.
And then we, you know, came to this sort of, it was sort of a little film, but it was more
like a trailer.
Yeah, more like a trailer.
Yeah.
And then from that, I'm like, hold on, maybe this has got more legs.
Yeah.
And I always, combined with that, had this, every time I do watch sport, which to be quite frank is not frequently, but I'd always be like, oh yeah, like they're good, but I want to know how good they are. I want to see just Joe Blow running along the side so we can really appreciate how good they are. And so it's sort of a combination of all of those things, and our friendship that leads us to The Power of the Dream.
Totally.
I'll be frank with you. I was a little worried going into the series as I didn't want this to be an exercise in like punching down, a show that makes fun of people with too high hopes. But you genuinely seem to like and feel for and understand Amy and Brooke.
That's awesome. I'm really glad that you took that from it, because that was something that's very important to us, and not we're like, that's not really a comedy that we're into. You know, it's obviously has its place, but it's not really something that we're into. And what's we love, and what goes into sort of other areas of our work is like just loving those characters and having so much, and appreciating what is great about them, you know.
Because I think even though like Bobbie and I are pursuing a very, you know, ambitious and competitive career, what we really admire in people are people who have a great sense of content about their lives and are full of joy and kind of, you know, and so a lot of the characters that we write are not overly ambitious. You know, and kind of like these two they love their lives. Like I think from the beginning, you know, that they want to go to the Olympics and that's a huge thing they want to do, but they're okay if they don't. You know, they've got each other and they've got this really full life, even if it seems a bit odd from the outside.
There's big laughs throughout the series. Clearly the sporting stuff is hilarious, but there's a real sweetness about those moments. They're straight to the camera and they're opening their hearts, and it's a rare kind of comedy and a tough kind of comedy to get right. But you guys nail it. Was there any inspiration? Was there any sort of I guess source material or inspiration along the way that you work with?
It's probably like an amalgamation of a lot of the stuff that we like. I mean, we're big fans of Parks and Rec, which I think you know, has a similar sense with Leslie Knope, who's you know, similarly a dork, but adorable, and you love her and you really admire her for her ambition and her hope and her positivity.
Yeah, and of course we watched like a lot of all that sort of mockumentary style, and I think it is particularly, I mean, obviously that's an American reference, but there is a lot of Australian comedy that sits and maybe a little bit older as well, but still that sort of tone. Even, and we love shows like Upper Middle Bogan and that sort of thing. That they're not exactly the same, but it feels quite Australian in that. Yeah, they're not. They could be, these characters could be the butt of the joke, but they're not. They're the heroes. Yeah, so I think it's inspired by all of those things, and then just making each other laugh too.
Totally.
It's really interesting that you chose Meg to direct, whose background is not comedy, but great factual work like Old People's Home for 4-year-olds and One Born Every Minute. What did having that sort of directorial skill bring to the production, bring to the shooting?
I mean, from the beginning, I mean, we've all known each other for so long. We knew that Meg's sense of humour was absolutely, and she is, even though she's done so much factual, she's maybe one of the funniest people we know. And that she obviously gets us and gets our sense of humour. But I mean, we really talked about it with the style of the show, that it wasn't, we wanted to push it past a mockumentary, or not past, but just in another direction, to be more like a fake doco is kind of how we wanted to work it. So it felt even less scripted if possible. And just her background in documentary and in factual was so helpful.
Yeah, it was great.
She just knew what the rules of the camera should be, and the rules of the world, and the rules of the story and everything, to make sure it fit into that doco style. And the first time I watched the first episode, I was like, looks like a doco. She was like, yeah, that's what you wanted, right?
We wanted to do. Yeah, so it ended up making, even though it maybe on paper looks a bit like, oh, that's a strange choice, but it actually worked so perfectly for us, and added a lot that we wouldn't have even thought of.
Yeah, she's just incredible. She's such a talent.
How many of those moments by the pool or on the track or in the gym are off the page, are scripted and followed to the letter, and how many are sort of free-formed, more improvised and then cut together in the edit? Yeah,
we spoke a little bit about that, because we almost improvised through all of our writing. Like that was how we created it, and through rehearsals and stuff we improvised. So when we got to the end, there wasn't a lot, to be honest. It was pretty much as we'd written it.
Yeah, maybe a line here and there, but in terms of actual scene structure, not at all.
Yeah.
Just a few little moments where we're like, oh, this feels a bit quiet and a bit still.
Yeah, it's a bit of added stuff, and the end of scenes and stuff to sort of carry them. But actually not a lot.
And what about the physical stuff? Any pulled muscles or groin strains, Alexandra?
Alex, do you want to tell us about that?
Yes, I'm not a fit person, and I was like, I'll be right. I'll do like 7 full days of.
All of us were warning her though, by the way. Like me and Meg were really like, Al, are you ready for this? Are you sure about this?
I was like, yeah, we're fine. I mean, I did do a bit of swimming. I did, because I hadn't swum a lap since high school, and I'm 29 years old. That was a while ago. So yeah, absolutely. Particularly gymnastics day, I was struggling. I hurt my leg, and so the 2 days before in the gym, in the weightlifting gym, there's a bit, you can see it in episode 6. I trip over a kettlebell and really badly graze my knees.
Yes.
And that's in the show, and that was real, and I was in so much pain. So gymnastics day, I'm like all taped up. I've got my ankles strapped because I do have very weak ankles. I've like pulled one of my muscles in my thigh. I was just so tired.
You nearly took yourself out with the point of the ribbon nearly landed on you too when you were doing the ribbon toss. I thought that's going to take out her eye if she's not careful.
Look, she's fearless. She's fearless. Clueless. She's clueless. She's delusional. Unwavering self-belief. These characters come from us, you know.
It was very, very funny. I don't want to give away too much of the storyline or any of the best moments, but just one word, allergies, was just one of the funniest sequences I've seen in such a long time. I was watching it with the headphones in, and my wife came out and looked at me and says, "What are you watching? What are you laughing at?" And I was like, "Oh, you've got to see this thing." It was very, very funny. merchandise. Is there an Amy and Brooke sportswear line exclusive to Best and Less Burwood in the works?
Look, that'd be the dream, wouldn't it? It's Best and Less. Oh my God. I would love that so much. I mean, look, we don't have cups, but we do, like, we don't make any money from it, but we got these cups. We got this drawing commissioned by a really amazing artist. His name's James Hillier, but his brand is Nordacious, and he's on Instagram, and he does a lot of these amazing drawings of kind of all of our favorite characters of the 90s and 2000s. And so we asked if he wanted to do a Nikki Webster image, and now he sells this image on t-shirts and cups and everything. But yeah, look, I definitely think next is mogul status. Let's get a Brooke and Amy Bland. Let's get earrings. I reckon we get t-shirts,
quotes.
Not
enough splash.
Not enough splash. I
That's like the sports cry of a new generation. Not enough splash.
I want a hoodie that says every athlete needs their rest day. That's one of my favorites.
Now, can we give away, I don't want to give away too much, but was the shooting schedule, like, were you building up to not getting into Tokyo, or did the cancellation of Tokyo happen, or when did you shoot?
Oh, yes. Well, we had a different version of the show, our original, because we were meant to shoot last year in April last year, which was very, very early on in pandemic time.
Yep.
And so the ending was different.
Okay.
And then when we went through a development once we'd been postponed, we went through a script development, like a secondary one. We'd obviously developed the scripts before that. Yep. And then we reworked. We reworked what happened, and it ended up being better, to be honest. Like that's a silver lining, because obviously the postponement was really tricky for us and just like emotionally more than anything. But that's something that we've taken from it, because we shot in April this year, so a whole year later.
So once we knew that the Olympics were going to be postponed and what the situation with the pandemic was, and we just wanted to make sure that there was a way that we could interweave the reality of COVID for athletes and for everybody with the story, without making it the story, because I mean, we've all lived the pandemic. I don't think in this particular show we really need to see all of the hell that we've been through.
But especially trying to that idea of making a fake doco, it needed to be in the real time of, and reflect that. Which impacted a particular cast member that pops up in the final episode as well, of trying to bring it into reality as much as possible.
Sure. Yeah, I didn't want to give that away, but it's a wonderful cameo and just tops the series off perfectly. So where to next for Amy and Brooke? Surely there's more to their journey together that needs exploring.
Well, look, I mean, the future is open and
very
bright.
Much so. There's full of possibilities.
Full of possibilities. I mean, the very, very, very end of the show, there's a little glimmer of what is next for Brooke and Amy, and whether we'll see more of that or not is yet to be known or decided. But we really love these characters, but I think that the energy and the tone is potentially what will carry through the most, is this style of humour that Bob and I have really workshopped and honed, and that we really love. We've got some other shows that we're working on as well that I think are very complimentary of that.
Yeah, definitely.
So
it's been so lovely to talk to you. Congratulations on a very funny, a very sweet series. Alexandra Keddie and BOBBIE-JEAN Henning, thanks so much for being on Screen Watching.
Thank you so much. Have a great one.
Alrighty, bye-bye.
Bye.